Faith and reason, or more specifically religion and science, are they friends or foes of each other? Why should we believe something? Because others believe it? I don't think that's a good reason. Because it feels good? That sounds even worse. The only correct answer is because it's true. That's why we should believe something. If it's not true, don't believe it. How do we know what is true? Faith tells us so from above, and reason tells us so from below. But you don't want faith to tell you what is against reason, and you don't want reason to tell you what is against your faith. So, how much can be known by reason and experience? And how much can be known by faith and revelation? And of course, what is the relationship between those two sets of truth? Let's pretend this is all we know by reason. And this is all we know by faith. Actually, those two intersect. Some things we know by reason and faith, and they are in the middle where they overlap. Yet reason needs to purify faith, and faith needs to purify reason. That's how we can understand this world, by reason and by faith. Reason tells us more than we could know by faith alone. All we know from chemistry and physics, we don't know by faith alone. And faith tells us more than we could know by reason alone. What we find in the Bible is usually more faith that we did not know by reason alone. Yet they overlap and intersect, and they can never contradict each other. If they do contradict each other, someone must have made a mistake, either the wrong reasoning or the wrong faith. That's where heaven and earth meet, the truth. So what is specific for faith? Mysteries are usually considered a faith issue, and yet they cannot be against reason. A mystery is something about which we can't know anything, but something about which we can't know everything. And even the Big Bang is not against faith. The Big Bang is about the beginning of the universe. But faith in creation is about the origin of the universe, before anything could even get started. So we have two books, and they both have the same author, the book of Scripture, and we have the book of nature. The book of Scripture tells us how to go to heaven. The book of nature tells us how the heavens go. St. Augustine said already centuries ago, it is the divine page that you must listen to, faith. It is the book of the universe that you must observe, reason and faith. The left side we have authorities on faith, and the right side we have authorities on reason. Yet it's a match made in heaven, because those two books have the same author. So faith and reason can never contradict each other. Discovering the truth through reason can never destroy faith, and discovering the truth through faith can never destroy reason. So let us be faithful in our reasoning and reasonable in our faith. So far I have talked in very general terms about reason and faith. Let's be more specific. Reason is the ability to know any kind of truth, and faith is the ability to have faith in something. Then later on it became more specific, the ability to clearly understand things and prove things, or the ability to respond to some kind of divine revelation. I would say the left part was very well cultivated by the ancient Greeks, and faith was very well cultivated by the ancient Jews. But later on it became even more specific, especially after the philosopher René Descartes. Reason was the ability to understand and prove in a scientific way. And faith was the ability to believe what was revealed to us in dogmas and creeds. And that's where science and religion may confront each other. Does science allow belief in God? What explains that this beautiful biological design works properly? The explanation is the laws of nature. They regulate what can be done and what cannot be done. What explains the laws of nature? I would say the cosmic design. We have reached the boundaries of science now, but science can never explain that there is order in this world. It has to assume it. It assumes that there is somehow a cosmic design of order and intelligibility and functionality. So if you ask me what explains the cosmic design, I have no better answer than saying there is a creator behind the cosmic design. And don't ever ask what explains the creator. Inside that box we have a chain of secondary causes. Cause 1, causes 2, 2 causes 3, etc. But the secondary causes assume that there is a primary cause. Primary cause is uncaused, not self-caused. It's the origin of the chain of secondary causes, but not the beginning. So what kind of God is that? Not a God confined inside a box designed by philosophers. Not a God capricious like the Olympians in ancient Greek. Not a God entirely beyond human comprehension, as some say. No, it is a Judeo-Christian God, a reliable God who created the universe in accordance with the laws laid down in creation. So the first 3 options are out of the question. Science is a faith-based enterprise. Whether they like it or not, all scientists keep living off Judeo-Christian capital. Reason tells us, how could nature be intelligible if it were not created? How could there be order in this world if there were no orderly creator? How could there be scientific laws if there were no rational lawgiver? How could there be moral laws if there were no moral lawgiver? How could there be design in nature if there were no intelligent designer? How could there be human minds if the universe were mindless? Reason tells us that would not be possible. That's where faith and reason meet. The astrophysicist Stephen Hawking once said, "You still have to question, why does the universe bother to exist?" That's not a scientific question, but still it needs to be addressed. Our universe need not be the way it is, and it need not even exist. So our universe is neither necessary nor absolute, but instead finite and dependent. Hence the universe is not self-explaining, so it can only derive from an infinite absolute being, God. If the Creator can do whatever he likes, there is only one way to find out what God has actually done. Interrogate nature by experiment. That's what the people in the left column have done. I chose them because they were all religious believers. More in specific, Copernicus held the belief that nothing was easier for God than to have the earth move if he so wished. That's why he could assume that the earth was moving. And Kepler had also the belief that God would never tolerate the inaccuracy of circular models, so he went for elliptic ones. Through their belief in God, they found reason to investigate nature. They were actually reading the mind of God. So the gate of science is faith. Pope Sylvester II, around the year 1000, long ago, through his faith, was able to do the first astronomical observations. Saint Albert the Great was a scientist. He made many inventions in science. And the list grows and grows, and we got more and more insight into the cosmic design of this universe. Louis Pasteur, religious. Father Georges Lemaitre, who came up with the Big Bang Theory, Max Planck, the quantum theory man. They all realized that we are still living off Judeo-Christian capital, but some have missed the sign on the door, faith. So are science and religion friends or foes? The philosopher Peter Kreeft used a Western story that says, this town ain't big enough for both of us, one of us has to leave. He says, why? Why would one of them have to leave? There is no reason why. A scientific authority said, science without religion is lame, religion without science is blind. And a religious authority said something similar. Science can purify religion from error and superstition. Religion can purify science from idolatry and false absolutes. In other words, science only deals with what can be counted and measured, whereas religion is about other things in life that count but cannot be counted. Science may be everywhere, but it's certainly not all there is. There is more to life than science, and that's where religion, faith and creation come in. Science has a piecemeal approach by dissecting things into smaller and smaller pieces. They dissect, and religion puts all these things back together again. So please don't turn science into a pseudo-religion, and don't let religion become a semi-science. Reason requires faith, and faith requires reason. If you deny the left side, the right side will say faith also requires reason. If you deny the right side, science and reason will tell you that faith is needed. We need them both, faith and reason. Are they friends or foes? I think I have said it enough. Science could never silence religion, and religion could never silence science. Please be aware that there is no scientific proof that science is the only way to prove things. You could never prove that scientifically. And there is no religious proof that religion is the only way to prove things. We do have faith in science, and we do have reasons for our faith. Faith and reason. If you want to know more about these issues, I had to do this very briefly. I wrote 2 books that touch on these issues extensively. You can find them through these 2 websites, or you can just go to Amazon.com or to where-do-wecomefrom.com/otherbooks.htm, and just type my name, Gerard Verschuren, and you will find the books I wrote on these issues.